I'm done. I'm done with life. And it's all Jermaine's fault. It's always Jermaine's fault. But does anyone see that? No. Does anyone care about that? No. All they see is an aggressive black girl talking.
If you don't have a man, you ain't nothing.
Aspiring to be patriarchs like what white men have, that isn't freedom. That isn't going to help anybody. It's certainly not going to help black people.
Don't do that. Don't fucking blow this shit up. What just happened here with the fucking mirror?
Yo, we up. Shout out to everybody in there in the chat, pulling up early. Appreciate y'all coming through. The topic of today's discussion, can women be losers too, y'all? We're jumping right off the deep end. No life jacket, jumping straight into the real shit. I came across a video this morning, a young lady in the thumbnail. I don't know how she found her way into my algorithm, but here we are. We're going to review her video a little bit later. She is, I guess, a self-described female loser. And we're going to examine why she would describe herself and maybe take a look at her loserdom as a woman and try to understand the female loser, at least in her mind. And before we get to that, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you all for pulling up for today's show. I got a lot of other things I would like to get to before we get to that video. I remember years ago, actually, when I first discovered the whole online red pill manosphere space, one of the things that really kind of, I guess you could say, red pilled me in terms of content is watching actual family court footage. Watching family court play out, that alone kind of like altered my brain chemistry a little bit.
I will move heaven and earth to take you down in this divorce if this is the you decide to play. You have 1 hour to deposit that money, or I swear to God, Vince, I'm calling the cops and telling them how unsafe I feel around you and how mentally and emotionally you've been and how you pushed me up against the wall in the bathroom my last day in that house, and I had to tell you to get off me 3 times. Do you want to be arrested in front of your kids, Vince? Because that I can make that happen. Watch me.
Damn.
Who was that on that recording?
That was Leah, my wife.
Okay. And when did she tell you she was having an affair?
I found out, and because she didn't tell me at first, she gave me papers on. She gave me the divorce papers on a Sunday. I found out on a Tuesday from my brother, and when I asked her, she did tell me she was having an affair. And then by that Saturday, she had moved out.
You know, she's saying you gave her like an hour to get out and all that kind of stuff. Can you explain to the court your side of that story?
Yeah, our account of that is a lot different than the week I got back. Well, let's just say my best friend from Bible school had just taken his life, so I went down to Dallas for the funeral for that. The week I got back, I noticed that Leah was kind of cold to me, and we were getting into small tiffs, but she wasn't talking to me. That Friday, she had told me she wasn't in love with me anymore. And I was completely blindsided. Leah's always had a very high, strong value for marriage and family. And I also didn't know she was having an affair, but I said, well, I want to fight for our marriage. We have a lot to fight for. Do you want to fight for our marriage? And she said, I don't know. At the time, I had a lot of trust in my mother-in-law. So I said, I think it's best then for you to go to your mom's house until you figure out if you want to fight for our marriage. If you will go there, she will ask you, is he cheating on you? And the answers are no. And she'll tell you to come back and we will work this out. And I said, I'm going to go get dinner. I think it'd be best for you to go to your mom's house when I get back. I did not want her to leave permanently. I wanted to, I did not know about the affair. I was trying to just wake her up because this doesn't seem like the person I married. But she did come back Sunday, and then she stayed again until that Saturday, and that's when she left. And that was against my wishes. I didn't want her to leave.
She made it sound like she was running for her life. He was like, if you don't leave in an hour, I'm gonna get you, right?
I'm telling you, nothing red pills. You're like watching family court play out. A lot of female loser shit happens in family court, and it's all legitimized. That's where the female loserdom gets legal coverage.
If we're married, we have 3 children, and there's a house fire, either save the 3 children in the basement or you can save me in the bedroom. Who are you saving?
I'm going to save my kids.
You're going to save the kids and not your wife?
My wife has already lived, let's say, 40 years, right?
I'm not 40.
Whatever the age is, whatever the age that we decided on.
You can't have sex with your kids, but you can have sex with your wife.
But sex isn't my motivating and driving factor in life. That's not the only thing that matters to me.
Who would you save in a fire, me or your mother? He's saying his mom. I already know.
Yeah, I'm saying my mother. Yeah.
I'm dead.
Yeah. Real shit. Kids first. I'm sorry. You're gonna have to make a way. You're an adult woman. You can fight a fire. That's what I've been told about, modern women anyway. Adult women can fight fires. She'll be all right. I don't even know why she's asking that kind of question.
Getting no job. If you go get a job, they're going to take my Section 8. Then you won't be able to get no Section 8. You're not going to get no job. They're going to count your income against my Section 8 and my link card. You're not working. No. So I don't care what you got to say. I don't care how you feel. You're not working. You're not going to get a job. You're not going to school. You're not doing none of that shit.
But, Ma, I'm saying how I'm supposed to be successful in life, Ma. So you basically telling me I gotta be broke to be successful. I got to be broke so I can get Section 8.
You got to be broke so the government can help you.
So the government can help me. So you telling me I can't work no job, bro? Like, that's like all my friends got jobs and live in nice houses. So you telling me I got the...
I remember this video came out a couple of months back, and I don't know how long ago. This video is old now, but I remember when this video came out. I never even covered this video. I don't even think I mentioned it at all. Because, I don't know, part of me wanted this video to be like a skit, to be fake. But every time this video pops up, I never see like a community notes warning. Because on Twitter, a lot of the fake videos or the AI videos, if you watch it, if it comes up long enough on your timeline, it'll keep popping up. Eventually, you'll see like a community notes under it where somebody, or the algorithm at least, called it out as a skit or be like, these are known actors. I have never seen the community notes under this video. And I keep waiting for it to pop up like this. Please tell me this is not real.
You're not going to school. You're not doing none of that shit.
But, Ma, I'm saying how I'm supposed to be successful in life, Ma. So you basically telling me I gotta be broke to be successful. I gotta be broke so I can get Section 8.
You gotta be broke so the government can help you.
So the government can help me. So you telling me I can't work no job, bro? Like, that's like all my friends got jobs and live in nice houses. So you telling me I got to go through the same thing you went through?
If you don't do any of that, they're going to take my Section 8.
How?
And
What they be like? What they
be? You can go get yours at ease. You can go get a
They will.
nice house.
No, they will look at that and be like, he's doing something and give me a bigger house, Ma. That's what you told me.
Where I'm gonna go? I don't have no job.
I can get off your Section 8 and apply for my own Section 8.
But if you do that, you're gonna have to go the hard way. It's gonna take a long.
So what? That's what I'm saying.
2 months, get on Section 8, find you a nice apartment, go get you a link card. You will be fine. You don't have to sit up and work. You don't have to work no job. The government is here to help us.
Please, where is the community note on this video telling everybody this is fake? She is a big TikTok influencer. She does skits like this all the time. Where is the community note? Please, why is this real? It don't need to be real. Of all the real things that we got already, we don't need that.
When you're younger in your 20s, like, who the fuck wants to get married and settle down?
Yeah.
Some people, but not me at that point.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to feel the thrill. I want to be getting my head bashed in the mattress. I want to be getting flipped upside down. And then I want to be getting ghosted the next day. I want to have my heart ripped out of my chest. And I want to do it all over again and then some. And then when you get a little older, you're kind of like, I literally don't have time.
Shout out to the girls living their best lives, getting slurred out on the floors. Must be fun, y'all. Must be fun. You know, this guy right here, couple of weeks ago, about a week ago, really, this guy went viral for marrying this girl. Why would that go viral, right? Guys marry girls all the time. Well, apparently he is a deeply religious Jesus bro, right? He's a church bro. He's a deeply religious church bro who, out of his deeply religious church bro heart, he found it in his heart to forgive this woman of her insane past. Just like in the clip I played before you, that was her. That was her. She got stretched out, flued out, blued out, and now she's just too tired. That's why she's marrying this guy.
He showed me that my promiscuity was a sin against God, and I deserved hell. But Jesus paid for all my sin, and all I have to do is to repent and trust alone in Jesus.
Jesus can't make your coochie new again. I mean, he could, but he won't. If he really wanted to, he would do it. Of all the things he promised to do for you, that ain't one of them. Coochie ain't never gonna be new again. He turned the water into wine that one time. That was it. You're not getting any more rejuvenations.
And I will be new. And that night I gave my life to Jesus, and I threw out all the New Age books in my room, and my life changed, and I never went back.
So she was reading all those New Age books, burning I was about to say burning crystals. She probably burnt a lot of crystals too. They burn crystals. They read New Age books. They do all these things, and then they sleep with a lot of guys, apparently. Something about crystals and New Age books raises the body count. I'm not sure what the real correlation is between crystal burning, New Age book reading, and body count growth, but these two things often come in a threesome, just like that. You can't really have one without the other two, apparently.
Life again. I've been saved for since 2017, and Jesus is only more and more real to me, and I'm a new creation. I felt grief over my sin, but
the woman is new, but the pussy old. I can't help myself. You a new woman now. Oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah.
I want more.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to hell.
Because I am new. That person who was promiscuous is dead. She's gone. And I am new in Christ. And that is why I have.
See, the woman is a saved Christian, but the coochie's still promiscuous, right? That is what you fail to really understand about this chick you just married up. She is a new woman in Christ the Lord, but her coochie is still sinful and promiscuous. And I don't know how you ever resolve those issues.
No shame anymore, because God looks at me as clean and robed in Christ's righteousness.
The living waters. You know, I was going to make a really crude joke, but I'm not. I'm better than that. I'm better than that. This is a family-friendly show.
Turn away, I am cheating. Do you hear me? I can't do this anymore.
Modern life is really, really breaking some of these girls out here. That's one thing that we really haven't looked at closely as a nation, is the spike in female mental instability. Like almost all the psych drugs are going to women. Homeless people and women. That's basically who gets all the psychiatric medication for the most part in this country. For good reason, though. I'm not even saying that it's like overprescribed. I mean, maybe the homeless people, but it seems like modernity is driving chicks crazy in a way that we really should like focus on. We need like a Manhattan Project for crazy bitches.
All right. Someone asked me, what do you think it would sound like if someone was brutally honest about removing sex from their marriage just because they're disinterested? Well, I think you would hear shit like, hey, I know that sex and intimacy is a big deal for you and that we've always used it as a way to stay connected, have children, bond, show love and affection, but I don't want it anymore. I don't want to maintain it, and I really cannot be bothered. It's not medical or anything. I just don't want to. I don't want to touch you anymore, and I don't want you to touch me. No more sex. But I don't want you to go outside and get it either. We're not opening the marriage because, well, then you'll meet somebody who's not going to give up on you, and you're going to want that. And you're going to see that I soft quit the marriage, and then you're going to want to leave. And then I'm going to lose all my comfort. And I'm okay with you losing your comfort, but I don't want to lose any of mine. So we're not going to have sex within the relationship, and you're definitely not going outside of the relationship, because then you're going to know that you deserve better. You at least deserve somebody who doesn't give up on you. So no, I'm actually just going to breadcrumb you along with false hope and then shame you with embarrassment into submission until you just stop talking about it. And by the time your mental health, deteriorates into depression, you're not going to want to do anything either. And after more years, you'll have invested so much of your life and time and efforts, you're not going to go anywhere anyway. That's why I don't think you hear the honest answer as to why sex is being removed.
Well, that was brutal. That was pretty rough. So is that what it's like?
I hit a woman for the first time in my life, and I'm having fun.
Get back in the kitchen.
Now, I want to actually jump right into this video that I found this morning. A young woman who goes by the name Bri the Woman. This morning, like hours ago, she dropped a video. She has a fairly decent YouTube channel. She dropped a video saying that I'm a 34-year-old jobless loser. And, look, that's Bri right here on the screen. She seems like a nice, decent, lovely young lady. Nothing outwardly off-putting about her. What makes her a loser? In her own words, like the video, people, we are getting into the meat and potatoes of it all.
If you count the past 2 years, I've been unemployed for an entire year, and I've been single for 6 years. And
unemployed for a year, single for 6 years.
If you count the past 2 years, I've been unemployed for an entire year, and I've been single for 6 years.
That's a lot of years. Now, we all know single doesn't mean sexless, right? These are parallel concepts that don't have to overlap. Just because she's, quote, single doesn't mean she is celibate.
If you don't have a man, you ain't nothing.
And I spend about 6 out of 7 days a week completely alone. Looking around at my life, I'm like, am I a loser? Now, loserdom is pretty subjective. Loserdom? Loserhood?
Yeah, loserdom. That's a good one. We're going to go with loserdom. Makes it sound grandiose, like it's a kingdom that you've inhabited.
Own standards that I set for myself. It feels that way. I am 34 years old, single, jobless, and I feel like I have no friends. How did I end up here? What?
The modern world is brutal on women too. You know, one of the things that really fascinates me is I like listen to a lot of these different, I call them like Chitlin Circuit YouTube channels. A lot of the Black channels where they live stream and they have panels and discussions. It's almost always 90% of the content, if they're not talking about like something race related, it's relationship content, right? It's, you know, how these men need to love these women better, how these women didn't do nothing wrong and these men need to love these women better. Like, it's almost always that. And part of me kind of wonders if the fact that, you know, Black YouTube in particular is so oversaturated with like adult relationship content, it makes me wonder if this indicates a deep loneliness, broadly speaking, in the population, because it's content that's not only like widespread, it's popular. It seems like a lot of eyes are on this particular type of content, and so I wonder what that means on a wider scale.
What's up? Welcome to my channel, Bri the Woman. I am Bri. In my entire life, I have seriously dated 2 guys. And those, no, now is not the time. I've been trying to record this video for forever, and now is the time she decides she wants to have night terrors. Those 2 relationships combined lasted a total for 2.5 years. So for 34 years of my life, I've spent 2.5 years in a relationship.
So out of all that time, you could only keep a guy in your vicinity and your arm's reach for 2 years. Like, was it them or was it you?
It's funny because when I was 20 years old, I told my best friend at the time, who was a gay man, I assume he's
another flag right there. Your best friend's a gay man. I don't think that's helpful in the world of heterosexual relationships. I think there needs to be an invisible barrier between the world of straights and gays. Kind of like in the Harry Potter world. It's best if we don't know they even exist, you know?
I've spent 2.5 years in a relationship. It's funny because when I was 20 years old, I told my best friend at the time, who was a gay man, I assume he's still a gay man. I told him at the time, if I didn't have kids by the time I was 28, I would be a...
Wait a minute, she said that like they might have found a cure.
20 years old, I told my best friend at the time, who was a gay man, I assume he's still a gay man.
Like they found the cure, like in the X-Men movie. It was either the Japanese or the Chinese. I put my money on the Chinese. If anybody's gonna cure that shit, it's gonna be the Chinese, because they will sacrifice any amount of people to get to the cure.
I told him at the time, if I didn't have kids by the time I was 28, I would be a surrogate for him. 28 has come and gone by 6 years. And I still don't have any.
You were gonna give your gay bestie a kid so you could be like baby mama and baby daddy. You would have been baby mama to your gay bestie. Let me think about that for a minute.
I told him at the time, if I didn't have kids by the time I was 28, I would be a surrogate for him.
You were willing to be the baby mama to your gay bestie. Were you already letting him hit it, or is this just like a contingency dick thing? Like, if all the other dicks fail or disappear or whatever, you got that one contingency dick. Doesn't even matter if he's gay. He's there. Wow. Women have such beautiful minds. I just love staring at the inside of it every now and then. It's like staring at a car crash or something. It's like watching people fight from a distance. Sometimes you're just amazed at what you're seeing. 28 has come and gone by 6 years, and I still don't have any kids, surrogate or otherwise. Last year in January, I told myself, if I haven't met anybody by April, that's it. I'm giving up. I'm not looking anymore. And at that point, I had been single for 4 years, and in April, it was going to be 5 years. And 5 years is half a decade, but that is a long time. Oh my God, that is a long time. That feels like listening to her say that and just process the amount of years, it reminds me of like hearing people talk about being in jail. Like, nah, I did like 7 years, bro. I did a whole dime. She did a whole prison bid.
But April came and April went, and I was still single. And something in me just shifted. Before that, I was such a romantic. I loved romance movies. My favorites are Bridget Jones's Diary, and I love Emily. And I thought that my Mark Darcy was out there somewhere.
Okay, whoa. Whoa, we're picking up on things here. You wouldn't happen to be very much interested in dating a white guy, would you? I mean, not you know, no shade. I don't really care that much either way, but these things matter in the grand scheme of things. It's like you're going after the hardest target for a woman of your station. Let's put it that way. For Black women, that is a notoriously hard target to land. And it started to make sense. If that's what you're after, if you want the Bridget Jones Diary thing, whatever this British guy's name is on the screen, if that's who you're after, I'm just saying you're aiming at a really hard target. The very fast-moving prey right here.
But after April, I just completely disconnected from that. I stopped looking at romance like, oh, I need to feel butterflies. I need to feel a spark with someone. And I started looking at it practically, like, I need somebody to help me pay bills. I need health insurance.
Said only a white man knows those book characters. Oh, it's a little breakfast racism. It's early, bro. It's early.
I need somebody to have kids with before it's too late. And wanting a partner for romantic reasons just felt stupid. That's what teenagers want. Butterflies, to be romanced. All that stuff is dumb.
Oh, she got burned out on romance. Which in a way, it is a problem. You know, this is one of the things I think accidentally even, but it's probably a very like healthy thing for me psychologically, is I stopped watching so much television, like television in particular. Like I'll watch certain movies and TV shows, but you know, in the modern day, like you can just pull up stuff on your phone, preview it for 10, 15 minutes, be like, oh no, this is weak, this is gay, this is stupid. And then you don't even really watch it. So the effect of it doesn't even hold on to you, right? And then I'll like watch things that I really, really like. I can focus on the type of content that I enjoy. But I remember being younger and watching a lot of television, broadly speaking. Just, you know, remember ABC, Thank God It's Friday. You used to have Full House and Family Matters and all these TV sitcoms and just television, broadly speaking. It creates a universe for you in your mind that the real world can never live up to. And I think she's probably a victim of that in some ways, especially like being a woman and having all this content aimed at women emotionally. And what winds up happening is it really does alter your relationship to the real physical, tangible world. And you wind up looking for the Hollywood depiction of romance. You want the Hollywood depiction of love, the Hollywood version of a man or a woman. You know, that has its own particular effects when you start getting into like ethnicities, you know, Ken and Barbie. Beyonce says, I want a soldier. When I was a kid, MC Lyte was gotta what show? Gotta have a roughneck. Gotta what show? Gotta get a roughneck. I need it in the morning, so I gotta get a roughneck. Like, the media has done a very, very good job of kind of preying on our emotional naivete as youth, as children, and as young adults. And then also playing on our base wants and desires as just, you know, biological and emotional creatures that men and women are. The media, Hollywood, it has really created a narrative of human relationships that once you try to replicate those things in the real world, you will always come up short, and you will always be a little bit butthurt about yourself and about your partners even, because everybody's going to come up short of the Hollywood version of romanticism.
You could say that I sound jaded, and you'd be right. I was so confused because guys would be interested in me at first, and then they would romantically ghost me. They'd start treating me like I was just an acquaintance. And sometimes I would ask them directly, like, hey, what happened?
Romantic ghosting. I've never heard of that before. Like, being ghosted after sex is obviously, that's the thing that's been happening since forever. But romantically ghosted, I've never heard that phrase put together like that.
And then they would romantically ghost me. They'd start treating me like I was just an acquaintance. And sometimes I would ask them directly, like, hey, what happened? And they would never tell me. I am neurodivergent. I have ADHD. And one of the things that means is that I don't always pick up on social cues, and I need things stated directly. So there was a guy that I liked for a year. He was in a relationship at first. So I just had a crush on him from like afar. And then suddenly he was hanging around me a lot. He was trying to come over. He wanted to go places I was going. Everything just kind of seemed so sudden. And we met up at a party. And because we weren't dating, I danced with another guy. And he completely stopped talking to me after that happened.
Yeah, well, yeah. What'd you want to happen? I think he read your mixed signals correctly. Mixed signals tend to mean maybe not. So what happened after that?
I danced with another guy, and he completely stopped talking to me after that happened. And I asked him directly multiple times, what happened? And his response was, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, so he gaslit me, which is always fun. Years later.
Oh, he gaslit you. It doesn't even matter. You knew what you did. He knew what you did. And it was just done. I think he was saving your feelings, which is actually wrong on his part. He should have been like, you know what the fuck you did, and had it out and then hung her up. He should have cursed her out, hung up on her, and then blocked her so she couldn't get her get back. That was the only way that he could have handled that situation. But no, you know what you did. He didn't gaslight you. He just didn't want to get into it with you. Like, what was the point? Like, what was he going to win other than that little emotional triumph of telling you off and then hanging up on you?
I learned that guys don't like when they're interested in you and you dance with another guy, but I didn't know, because for me, technically we weren't dating. And
you don't know that guys don't like to see the object of their affection being affectionate with other guys. You never knew. So you were like, what, 28, and you didn't know that by then? What were you doing in life that you never learned these basic things?
I had a lot of guy friends at that time. I thought we were just hanging out. And I incorrectly assumed that if he were interested in me, he would have just told me. Another problem that I had, I would look to characters on TV and in shows, and I would try to become more like them. But I was...
And what did I just tell you? What did I just tell you? This is why I said, I'm glad. I didn't even think about it at the time. I just kind of got over television at some point. I remember when I was a kid and when I was in high school, I had this one teacher. He had a funny name too, Mr. Steinke. We used to always call him Stanky. But Steinke must have been a German. I don't know. I remember him for this reason though. Not only his funny name, but this is the first time I ever heard an adult. Obviously, he's a white guy. He said, I don't have a television at all in my house. He didn't own a TV. And that was the first I'd ever heard of anything like that. And it just struck me as like really strange and weird. And I was like, why? It just only added to his weird white guy aura to me. Like this guy is really stanky, don't even watch TV. Like I could not fathom my teacher, an adult man, telling me that he didn't watch TV at home. But now as a grown-up and understanding the production and the people and the influence and the messaging of it all, I totally understand it now. And I'm like, that nigga was way ahead of his time. But she is now kind of explaining, like she even tried to act out some of the TV modeling. You realize some of the worst people that America has ever produced write for television in Hollywood, right?
Just told me. Another problem that I had, I would look to characters on TV and in shows, and I would try to become more like them. But I was becoming the type of woman that I'm attracted to in stories. You know, the cool girl, the
Why did they first go to look at who she went to?
That I'm attracted to in stories. You know, the cool
Maxine from Living Single. Of all the Black female characters to model yourself after, don't be Maxine from Living Single. And I think, you know, speaking of television projecting archetypes onto us as you know, unsuspecting viewers, how many of us have actually met the Maxine from Living Single archetype? And this is more like, you know, dating in the Black world, obviously. What would the white version of Maxine from Living Single be? Like, how many white guys have dated Murphy Brown? How many of you guys have dated Maxine or Murphy Brown? Because I think, like, remember when Murphy Brown was like, I'm going to be a baby mama on primetime television? That was like a huge thing. I remember like being young, obviously, and hearing about like the news kind of talking about, oh, she's having a baby and she's like a professional woman and she's not married. Murphy Brown brought baby mamahood to like middle class, upper middle class white America, right? And so we have like the Maxine and the Murphy Brown archetypes, you know, two radically different women, but they're basically the same bitch as far as like men are concerned. You know, it's the can't do no wrong, you can't tell me nothing, high achieving boss bitch. Comes in black, comes in white, comes in all shades and colors at this point now.
Girl, the manic pixie dream girl, the fun girl, the lovable, socially awkward loser, which are not the type of women that men that I like are actually attracted to. So not only was I not being myself, I wasn't even doing it to my own benefit, because that shit was not working. I guess for like a guy, that's like if you really resonated with like, I don't know, John Cena or Dwayne Johnson. That's like if you wanted to get a girl to like you and you started acting like The Rock and saying shit like The Rock would say. But what women want in dating is the Timothy Chalamets and the Ryan Goslings. I think also like I just don't like people frequently enough, and I don't really have ways of meeting new partners because all of my hobbies are solo hobbies and I work from home. My pond is very
cooked. All of your hobbies are solo hobbies. Her hobbies are like reading and baking. She has hobbies that doesn't involve leaving the actual house. She reads, she bakes, she probably does arts and crafts. She probably built that damn dream catcher looking monstrosity on her wall. What the hell is that? It's probably some shit she found. She made that with like arts and craft material and stuff she found in the street. None of her hobbies require actually leaving the house and interacting with real world physical people. And then this is another byproduct of like the digital age that we all live in right now. A lot of people have that kind of life where like work from home. I think work from home is probably a social killer in a lot of ways, because once upon a time, you know, back in the Murphy Brown days, a lot of people used to marry their coworkers. How's anybody supposed to get some coworker coochie when everybody's working from home? Explain that to me. How do you get coworker coochie when everybody's working from home? This is not a good thing for both parties. So right away, you work from home, you got indoor solo hobbies. How are you supposed to find a guy? I mean, if a guy was even looking for you, what was he supposed to do? Just knock on your door randomly? You want to play Candy Crush?
small. Even if I met someone tomorrow, I'd want to date them for a year before, at least before getting married. And then I'd want to be married for a year at least before getting pregnant. And then I'd have to be pregnant for 9 months. So the earliest I could have a child would be at 37 years old. That is old.
You know, something happens because I remember being this way around my mid 30s. I'm in my 40s at this point, so we're looking backwards a long way. But I remember somewhere around my my early to mid 30s, I started doing life math. Put a 1 in the chat if you've ever done life math. Life math is a bitch, bro.
And then I'd have to be pregnant, married for a year at least before getting pregnant. And then I'd have to be pregnant for 9 months. So the earliest I could have a child would be at 37 years old. That is old. And that's if I met someone tomorrow.
You got to jump on the dick tonight. That's the only way to beat the life math. You have to jump on some dick tonight.
If you don't have a man, you ain't nothing.
A lot of the same issues that I have in romance, I have in friendships. I'm a high context type of person, and most people don't need as much context as I do. If someone says something that bothers me, I tell them, hey, this bothered me. Why did you say that?
Hey, you know what? Shout out to the Hail Mary play. Miss Cantrell says she's better off winging it at this point for that Hail Mary. You know, you miss all of the throws you never make, right? You got to at least go for the long bomb. At some point, you just got to chuck it because it's the fourth quarter. You're on your 34-yard line. You got a long way to go. Just go for the bomb and see what happens.
But if it's the other way around, they don't tell me, they just stop talking to me. It's especially difficult being neurodivergent because a lot of that is just being very direct. I don't necessarily think to say things with a person's feelings in mind. I might just be trying to convey information and then somebody will read something into my tone and I'll be like, what tone? And I always thought that people should say what they mean. If they want me to understand something, they should say it. They shouldn't talk around it. I shouldn't have to pick up on context clues, but that's not how humans work. Honestly, I think the bigger issue in friendships for me, though, is I don't have an identity.
Whoa. You know what? Back to my television argument. Media, television. Hell, at this point, we could put social media in the same category that I'm putting media, Hollywood broadly, right? You don't have your own identity when you constantly consume other people's identity for content. In your mind, you created a group of people that you're betters in a certain way. You know, people that you look up to from a media standpoint. Why do you think they have, like, remember being a kid and they had like all these teeny pop magazines with all your celebrities and your girl crush celebrities? And even as boys, we didn't really do the boy crush thing. It didn't work the same way, but you wanted to be like your favorite rappers, you know? You wanted to be like the cool guys that all the girls wanted. And so you wound up creating an identity based on the false projected identity of celebrity culture, right? And then we have this like social media world where every nobody is a huge somebody now. And for the unsuspecting, you now consume all these other people's identities in an attempt to like create your own identity. And all it does is just make you crippled and retarded in the eyes of people who actually have a self-identity. This is deep, actually. I'm glad she put this out because I'm not even trying to, like, you know, pick her apart individually, like as a woman, because, you know, a lot of chicks are probably like this in a lot of ways. A lot of women are probably going through these kinds of things. So it's not even about her so much as it is about like the phenomenon of women in modernity.
Walk around it. I shouldn't have to pick up on context clues. But that's not how humans work. Honestly, I think the bigger issue in
One
friendships for
Direction
me,
effed her up. Not One Direction. You will get one shotted by One Direction. You gotta mind all of your media consumption.
though, is I don't have an identity. Most people have like a set identity. You're an athlete, you're a nerd, you're into fitness, you're into music, you're a Ravenclaw. I feel like most people put all.
What's a Ravenclaw? Is that like some kind of Harry Potter cult that I haven't heard of? Is anybody in the chat a Ravenclaw?
You're into music, you're a Ravenclaw. I feel like most people put all their points into one skill tree, you know? Me, I'm like, put 3 points into magic, 2 points into strength, 1 point into stealth, 2 more points into charisma.
She's describing her personality like the skill tree from an adventuring game. It's like Elder Scrolls or Skyrim or something here. She's definitely giving like nerd vibes, though. I'm getting like black girl nerd vibes off of her. Interesting.
I'm not maxed out in anything. I like some anime. I read some manga. I like watching science videos on YouTube. I like reading smut. I'm not really into movies.
What modern woman is not reading smut right now? You know, and shout out to the First Lady. She was talking about consuming adult content and all that earlier. And I think smut is probably up there in adult content. Like we have an epidemic of female gooning like we've never, ever seen before. Women are gooning like young men right now. And I, for one, think it's a problem, okay? Women were never supposed to be gooning like young men. Gooning was young male territory. It was uniquely a young male thing. Now women are doing it for themselves. We have an epidemic of women gooning. And whether it's raw, just purely adult content, women consuming OF and Pornhub and all that, whether it's women reading like, what is that one book I keep seeing pop up where it's like some milk maiden thing? She's on a dairy farm. It's some weird gooning, beastie fantasy thing. Women are gooning in ways that I really don't even want to conceive of. And I really do think it's bad for society. What if female gooning is the final straw that destroys America? Had you ever thought of that? Ladies, had you ever considered that female gooning could be the one last thing that finally blows this country up? Women have to stop gooning to save America.
Anything. I like some anime. I read some manga. I like watching science videos on YouTube. I like reading smut. I'm not really into movies. The other day, my mom was complaining about how she didn't like that Netflix knew that she was a Black woman based on what she was getting recommended. And I was curious as to what my algorithm thought about me.
Netflix thinks you're biracial. Her Netflix probably thinks she's biracial. Her Netflix is confused as hell. Her Netflix probably looks like my Twitter algorithm, just random things popping up at one time.
And it was all over the place. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I'm not doing it on purpose. I just have very diverse interests, and I always have. But most people aren't like that. Most people start heading in a direction when it comes to their interests. Then they meet people with similar interests. They listen to the same music. They dress the same way. They have the same hobbies. That never happened with me because I always get bored. I can be really into something for 3 months and then be like, all right, what's next? You know, I just don't really fit in anywhere. I'm like some type of pentagonal Venn diagram.
Oh my God. This is why you ain't got no man. This is exactly why you ain't got no man. Nobody wants to like figure out a chick's Rubik's Cube of emotional states and realities and shit. You got to put all those overlapping circles into one condensed circle for a nigga to deal with. All of these different colors and shades and overlapping feelings and emotions. Come on now. Come on now. This too much. That is way too much work. Nigga, I didn't even go to college and I got to solve this advanced quadratic equation of feelings and bullshit. No. This is exactly right. This is why you're single. Your Venn diagram of emotional realities and shit. No. You're going to have to erase like 3 out of them 5 circles at least. Way too many circles, y'all. Way too many circles.
Or something. And when you're always hopping from interest to interest, you're hopping from group to group. So you're not able to really build those long-term connections with people. And then a lot of the times where I do build like a strong connection with people, there's some aspect of it that makes it temporary in a way. Like when you and a person are working at the same job, and then all of a sudden you switch jobs. You were in an environment where
I'm noticing though, most of the time, and maybe I haven't caught it yet, maybe it'll change, but so far in this video, anytime I see her project like images of romantic situations, it's very white coded. Her projection of her picture of romance seems to be very white coded. And I wonder if that plays out in her love life. Again, I was asking earlier, do you only date white men? Or are you only looking for white guys? Because right away, that cuts the world not even in half. Like, what's less than half? Like, you shrivel the world up in terms of dating.
you were talking to this person or seeing this person regularly every single day, but now you're not. And that time that you were spending with that person is completely replaced with something else. Now, if you want to see this person, you got to go out of your way to see this person. You can't just walk over to the desk and be like, hey, you want to go grab lunch? Or as you're leaving, you can't like stop by your cars and like talk.
Complex emotions and introspection are white coded. I hate you so much right now. God damn it. Complex emotions and introspection are white coded. I need to ponder that for a little bit.
For 30 minutes. You're not in the same world anymore. You don't know the same people. The stories that you're telling from work don't have the same impact because they don't know who you're talking about. You got to set the stage for them. And you could probably do it at first, but it gets harder and it starts to test the friendship. During the pandemic, I was making a lot of friends at the dog park in my apartment complex. And it was all because we were all working from home and we all had dogs. So we could.
You know, I heard Brianna Greyjoy, who I think is also a New York City resident. I'm not sure what city she's from. I'm projecting New York City onto her for some reason. I don't know why. But this is I've seen this in New York City, so I understand what she's talking about, where a lot of these apartment buildings that are being propped up, like this new construction that's happening, they're building little domestic ecosystems into the apartment building. So you'll have like, I've seen this one building. I actually used to live in this building where it basically takes up a whole square block, right? But if you walk into the building, you can walk into like I don't know what you would call it. It's like a grassy area within the confines of the four walls of the structure. So this building would take up the whole New York City block area. But if you walked into the building, there'd be like an atrium, I guess is what you would call it. There'd be like a little outdoor area with grass and maybe a little tree, there's some benches or whatever. So it's like a private outdoor area for the residents of the building. And the building itself may have like a coffee shop in there, or, you know, my building had like a coffee shop, and there was like a little, you know, those new hipster bike shops that actually wasn't a hipster bike shop. It was like a really fancy e-bike shop, but they have these little domestic ecosystems now where you can live there. And let's say you just go to work and come home and all of your needs are met within like the radius of your apartment building. So your actual living experience gets shrunk very much just by living in that type of apartment building where you're only going to interact with your apartment neighbors and maybe the shop workers in your building. And you kind of like shrink your world incredibly by doing that. But this is a very kind of modern urban domestic way of living. And I heard Brianna Greyjoy talk like that. Yeah, that 15-minute city shit, where it's like we're all in a polycule, basically. Like the New York 15-minute urban apartment model is just like one giant concrete block polycule.
Spend like 30 minutes to an hour in the dog park just like talking to each other. But once the world opened back up, people's social circles shifted, you know, they're back doing stuff at work. People moved. Like I said, you keep up with those people at first originally, but as time goes on, those relationships with those people kind of fade. Speaking of jobs, I've been unemployed for 5 months. I got laid off from my last job because we lost a big contract and like a third of the company lost their jobs. So it wasn't personal. I've been applying and the jobs that are calling me back are all below a living wage. And I can tell you up front, I am not financially ambitious. I don't plan on being a millionaire. It sounds very stressful, actually. I really only need enough money to live, to pay my bills, save for retirement, go out for a nice dinner every once in a while, buy a...
Sounds like a respectable young man. You really just described like a decent young man out there living in the city.
I really only need enough money to live, to pay my bills, save for retirement, go out for a nice dinner every once in a while, buy a bottle of wine once a week. That's really it. I'm not trying to travel, you know, a whole bunch or buy a Mercedes. I drive a Kia. I have a 1-bedroom apartment.
You know, I am not the first to describe this. This is like a manosphere truism. I don't know who coined this term or originated this thought online, but another problem I see a lot of modern women facing is becoming the man that they want to be. And instead of attracting the man that they want, they become the man that they want. She sounds exactly like the kind of guy that she should be paired off with romantically, you know? Self-sufficient, responsible, takes care of things. You know, he's just a regular guy, not out there trying to do too much. He just needs someone like him, right? She sounds exactly like the kind of guy she needs to be with. And I've heard this a bunch of times as a descriptor of the modern female problem of like, you have become the very man that you need to attract instead of attracting the man. And I guess by the process of becoming the man that you should be attracting is now repellent to the man that you should be attracting, I suppose.
I just want to feed my dog and buy bubble bath and feeling like...
And yeah, Salahuddin, I do agree. She probably lost her dog park husband too. The dog park guy that she used to like have little meaningless chit chat with as their dogs were shitting on the lawn and they were picking them up in those little plastic sacks. That guy probably found a girlfriend and now she's alone in the dog park. Happens all the time. Dog park romances always fizzle out.
I have to go to a soul-sucking job just to maintain that very basic lifestyle feels so draining.
She's living the life of John Wick. Oh my God. Not John Wick. This is John. She's like a widower. She's living like a man whose wife died. That's wild. That is wicked work right there. Not a man whose wife died. But that's kind of what it's giving though. It is giving like a heartbroken man who's halfway given up on the world. I'm just going to go to work and go home, not even think about love. Like this is how older men get.
When I was in college, I went to school for fine arts. I wanted to be a graphic novelist or an animator at Disney or a storyboard artist. I loved storytelling and I wanted to learn the artistic skills to be able to do that. And you know what I imagined my life would be like? I thought, you know, I'd work in an office and I'd have colleagues. We'd all talk and make friends. Mostly, I pictured my office looking like the office from Just Shoot Me. I know nobody has to remember that. It's super obscure. It's from the 90s. That was my first introduction to David Spade. Probably for the rest of you, the only thing you know about David Spade, which you probably might not have even known, is that he's the voice of Cusco from The Emperor's New Groove. But, I thought I'll get a degree. I'll get a good paying job. I'll work with other creative people and everything will just work out. I genuinely thought that that's what adult life was going to look like. But what I did not realize was that I was a neurodivergent introvert with ADHD. I wanted to work in an office environment that requires you to not be those things. My nature was not compatible with the life that I was trying to build.
Social media cooked. I'm telling you, this is modernity. This is like modern hell, I think. After this, after I'm finished with this show, I got to make sure I go outside and just take a walk. It's nice out. I'm going to just go take a walk. You got to fight the modernity curse. Sometimes you just got to go get out there. When they say touch grass, that is literally like medical advice. Touching grass probably gets you a boyfriend too. Guys like grass, right? The guy you want is touching grass right now.
And I didn't really figure that out until I had already graduated and started working. I am fundamentally incompatible with office environments. Work is not intuitive to me. Like I said before, I need a lot of context before I can fully grasp a project. If somebody says, Brianna, I need you to build a house.
Shout out to the first lady in the chat. She says, make sure you're not walking with your headphones on, scrolling, or it's pointless. Don't judge me. I feel attacked.
House. I have questions. What type of house? Do you want a townhouse? Do you want a single family home? 1 story, 2 stories? How many bedrooms? I feel like managers want you to just intuit the needs of the company, of the business, of them, of the job. And they kind of want you to just read their minds. They give you an assignment and they want you to just go off and make it happen. But I can't do that. Something else I hate is office politics that are at play. When you see it on TV, all that drama and office hijinks seems like fun until you're in it and it's your job that's on the line that is paying you for your lifestyle. Then it's horrifying. I've been in situations where I had a terrible manager who I was afraid to say anything about because I was afraid that I was going to get fired or I was going to get in trouble. The worst manager I ever had called me.
Ooh, well, you are not alone. I've been looking at this Black female unemployment crisis out there, and yeah, it's real. It's real. Sometimes you just got to keep your head down, keep your mouth shut, and keep your job.
A hoe in a team meeting. So the worst manager I ever had called me a hoe in a team meeting. So I'm going to set the scene. My manager was a Black woman, which.
God damn it. I do not make this stuff up, right? I didn't do it. She did it. I don't always go out on a mission to just bring up Black women. Sometimes they just come up organically in the conversation. And I'm like, look, see?
Who I was afraid to say anything about because I was afraid that I was going to get fired or I was going to get in trouble. The worst manager I ever had called me a hoe in a team meeting. So I'm going to set the scene. My manager was a Black woman, which I would have thought so much more of her, for her to put me, another woman, in the situation. And there were 2 other people present. One was a 50-year-old Pakistani man, and the other was a Black guy who was around my age. We had actually went to middle school together. His girlfriend actually got me that job, just for some backstory. I had gone on a date with somebody at the job. This was the only person at the job that I had ever gone on a date with. The whole rest of the time this manager knew me, I had a boyfriend. We weren't even talking about this. We weren't even talking about the guy. I don't remember what was being said, but in the meeting, she called me a hoe in front of these 2 guys. And the 50-year-old Pakistani man just burst out laughing.
Oh my God. Oh man, workplace drama. You know what? I would probably burst out laughing too. Just not even because she a hoe, just because you said it. We might have already been thinking that anyway. Who knows? But then You know, Keisha had to go out and say it out loud. Now it's a moment. Now it's an incident. Now we got to have an HR meeting.
What was being said, but in the meeting, she called me a hoe in front of these two guys. And the 50-year-old Pakistani man just burst out laughing. I don't even think he had a complete grasp on the English language, but he knew what a hoe was.
Hoes are universal, man. Hoe is a universal term. You can go Malaysia, Taipei, Hong Kong. You can go to St. Petersburg, Czechoslovakia. Hoe is a universal term. Everybody knows what that means now.
And he thought that shit was hilarious. I never heard this man laugh in my life. He was super stoic, didn't show any emotions, just kind of gave a blank stare all the time. And to this day, I do not know if he was laughing out of discomfort or if he agreed with her or if he was shocked, but he was really laughing. And that's the type of shit that I'm like, I just don't want to deal with that. I know you're probably thinking like, well, did you tell anyone? First of all, this lady had both her hands cupping in the back pockets, cupping the booty of our director. My director loved her. I just wasn't trying to put the spotlight on me. I was already struggling with the work as it is. Even though I had 2 witnesses there, I didn't feel comfortable. And then it's like, I tell on my boss and I tell that she called me a hoe in this team meeting. She's not going to get fired. She'll probably get slap on the wrist. She'll get reprimanded and then she'll still be my fucking boss. So I started looking for another job and I got the fuck up out of there. That's the type of shit that I am not eager to go back to. I had an interview 2 weeks ago. I was hoping to God they wouldn't call me back and they haven't. And
now notice in her nightmare corporate story, it wasn't the evil white man. Wasn't even the Pakistani guy. All he was a witness. It was another woman and it was a black woman. And now she never wants to go back to work in the office again. And now she can't find a boyfriend because she never leaves the house.
I just feel a weird mix of relief and disappointment, melancholy. I at least wanted them to want me. I wanted to reject them, not the other way around. Also, when it comes to work, like I cannot work in an environment where it feels like people can like just watch me and see what I'm doing. I hate when I'm working in an environment where people are walking behind me a lot. I can literally hear and feel the presence of every single person walking behind me. And it gets.
Why does this remind me of the movie Office Space back in the day? You guys ever see Office Space? It's like one of those cult classic late 90s, early 2000 movies, literally about working in a cubicle environment like that. They had that one famous scene where they like beat up they went in the field and like smashed a printer with a baseball bat. But it was a really iconic thing because they were playing like the most hardcore gangster rap of the day. When it's like these 2 white guys and one Pakistani guy just getting their frustrations off on some like modern technology. It's a very meta scene now that I think about it.
Gives me so much anxiety. And I'd go to my managers and I'd say, hey, is it okay if I like sit against the wall? There would be seats available or with my back to the window. And they would always say no. And you know what? The one time that I was actually able to sit in a corner and my back was like facing a window, I got 2 promotions in 6 months. I feel like that clearly says when I am in the right environment and I have the right setting, I can thrive. They don't want to listen. They don't give a fuck about me. I'm not trying to complain that this is the work environment. For people who thrive in that and are fine with that, I think that's great for them. I didn't realize that I wasn't compatible with that lifestyle. I went to school for creativity, not for office bullshit. I'm much more compatible with freelance work.
What if you're not compatible with most guys though? Like that's a dark thought. That's what it sounds like when you were describing relationships and dating and all that. It just seems like you're having compatibility issues.
You get assigned a project, you get a due date, you do it, at your own pace. You want to work at 8 a.m.? You can do that. You want to work at 1 a.m.? You can do that. But you know what you don't get as a freelancer? Insurance, benefits, a So when I was freelancing between jobs, I didn't have health insurance, which means I wasn't allowed to get sick, which is insane. Oh, also, I live in America, if that wasn't obvious by that last horrifying statement. Last year, after my April deadline came and went, I spent a lot of time grieving the life that I was never going to have. I thought I was going to have kids by now. I thought I was going to be married. I may have wondered who I would end up with, how many kids we would have, but not whether I would end up with anyone or have kids at all. At 34, you're supposed to be building a family and solidifying plans for your future, not getting let go from an entry-level writing job that you've only been at for a year. Rapidly can.
What's an entry-level writing job? This is a very, very like liberal, coastal elite type of life here. Entry-level writing job. Give me that job. I'll write whatever the hell you want me to write.
Cannibalizing my savings just to stay afloat. The really fucked up part is I just want somebody to confirm that I'm never going to have the things that I want and that I should just give up hoping for them. Like, I've been thinking I'd love for my dog to have a companion.
You know what?
But I'm like, well, I don't want to get another dog.
They always
what if
have
I meet
a dog.
somebody?
I always I was talking about this in the earlier about like her being very white coded. Let's just put it out there, right? She doesn't look mixed. She probably has black mom, black dad. But somebody put this in the chat too. Somebody mentioned in chat she probably has like 2-parent home. She went to a PWI, most likely a predominantly white institution as college, you know. She's probably lived a life, you know, in white culture and customs in a lot of ways, whether it was intentional or accidental. And I think this is something that doesn't get addressed enough, or very much at least, in the Black community. There is a very thin but visible segment of Black America that doesn't operate or necessarily identify effectively as Black, right? Like, they're visibly Black. Obviously, when you see them, like, she's a Black girl with dreadlocks or whatever, visibly very Black coded, right? But then when you listen to her and you talk to her, she doesn't give single. She doesn't give, she doesn't give Keisha, rather. She doesn't give Project. She doesn't give Jenny from the block, right? And I do think there is a particular romantic crisis in that sliver of Black America. The Black folk, the men and women who don't identify or engage in all aspects of typical, stereotypical Black culture, they don't really find each other romantically. Because one, there's not a huge amount of them, and it's not like they're going to be pulled together, condensed in any one area. But it's like that kind of Black person, I think, finds themselves in a dating no zone, not no zone, but like a no-go zone romantically. You're stuck between like Black and white in a lot of ways. You have the Caucasian, the white version of relation and romance projected from television in Hollywood, but none of these niggas act like that. None of these niggas date like that. None of these niggas even relate to the world like that. So it's hard for you to find somebody who is like mentally and romantically on the same wavelength as you, and you're both physically attractive to each other. And then on the other side, right, you're always an outsider dating like in the white world. So there's just a difficulty in kind of bridging that gap in particular. And I'm getting those vibes from her right now.
And they already have a dog. Then we'd have 3 dogs. Plus,
I mean, for Christ's sake, she has a pit bull, by the way, like very outwardly Black, but inwardly white coded.
I have 2 cats, and then if we have kids, that'll be too much.
You got a pit bull and you got a pit bull and 2 cats. That's way too many animals. And I wonder if they can smell that on you when you go out on dates. That's way too many animals. I'm sorry. That's just a lot of fur and things to deal with. A giant dog and 2 cats. I'm good.
meet somebody and they already have a dog, then we'd have 3 dogs. Plus, I have 2 cats, and then if we have kids, that'll be too much. I want somebody to say, Brianna, you're never going to find a partner. You'll never have kids. This is your life. Because at least then I could do something about that. I could just move on. I could get another dog. People tell me like, Brianna, you have an apartment, you have a car, be grateful. Some people don't even have that. And I'm like, by my own standards, the very least I could do is have an apartment and a car. I'm 34 years old. I should not be living with my parents. I don't have the big things in life. I struggle with loneliness and,
you know, I've been seeing a lot of content lately about young women not wanting to have children, young women opting out of marriage and family or pushing it off until it's, the last minute or whatever. And one thing that marriage and family does give you, whether you like it or not, it gives you a sense of purpose and identity. And at 34 years old, especially, to have neither marriage nor family, no children to speak of, there's a giant hole in your sense of identity right now. And there's some things that just can't be like replaced. Like there's nothing that can replace the role and the function of having children in your life. The identity it gives you, the purpose it gives you, it changes you on a lot of levels. And at the very least, you always know there's something to be done because you got this whole other human being to keep alive, especially in the beginning when they're really young and helpless, right? There is always something to be done. And it gives you a sense of purpose and identity that work from home can never do. Living in your polycule where half the men in the building are gay and all the other women are bitter and single like you, it can never replace the identity of like marriage and family and the purpose of life that it gives you.
Lack of friendship. I don't have kids. I don't want to be pat on the back for doing what I consider is the bare minimum. And that's not to put anybody down that is living that life, but that was the standard that I set for myself. But ultimately, that's not productive, right? It's not a productive way of thinking. I have to stop moping about it. And when I'm finally done grieving a life that I may never have, I have to strategize to go back to the drawing board and rethink my whole future trajectory. And I need to accept that I might not have kids and that I may never get married. That's
a reality. And again, this is, older men, this is the kind of projection, not projection, but mental process I think that happens with a lot of guys at a certain point in life. If it hasn't happened for you by now, it probably won't. Like I played this clip on one of my live streams about some guy from the 50s. It was him and his mom. You might have remembered it. Him and his mom sitting at the dinner table, and his mom keeps begging him to go out to whatever local club they had and go meet a woman, go down to the Fontainebleau and just dance with a girl or whatever. And he's like, come on, ma, whatever it is women want, I ain't got. And because he was, probably in his 40s at that point. And sometimes, that life math just be kicking your ass, man. Sometimes you just have to accept the conclusion of the life math.
Just may be my life, and I have to be okay with that. When I first started working on this video, it was really a story about grief, about how I was so set on living this life that never happened. And I was lamenting that. Now that I've
No, Miss Cantrell, if she only had this conversation in private, in solitude, we couldn't be here now picking it apart for the world to see, all right? Content begets content. That's the way it is. This is the new modern world, right? I'm lonely, I'm an introvert, and I'm going to show the whole world my lonely introvert scars. It's the duality of the modern world. I don't know what to make of it. This is why we're just doing content. We need her content.
Realize that I am fundamentally incompatible with some of the things that you need to attain the goals that I had, that there's no amount of Amazon gift cards or end of the year bonuses or unlimited PTO that's going to make up for the fact that I hate office politics.
Unlimited PTO. Wow, I wish.
Hey, I was sitting in the Taco Bell parking lot eating a burrito, and I just sat there.
This is the perfect projection of women in modernity. I love this right here. We should hang this up in the Louvre. We should put this behind a paywall. This is the perfect picture of women in modernity. I mean, and it's not even, I'm not even saying this to say like women inherently are awful. I'm really kind of stressing the point that the modern world that we've created for ourselves is kind of ruining women to the point where women themselves have begun to notice. This is why you got a spate of women making content about women being awful, the feminization of society. It's gotten so bad that women can't hide it, nor can they stop talking about it. And this is a perfect picture right here. Struggling with your weight, alone in your car, inhaling a fast food burrito. It's not even a real Mexican burrito. Taco Bell is not Mexican food. It's American slop. And this is a perfect picture. Alone in your car, inhaling American slop. This is American ethnic slop food. This is what modernity has reduced modern women to. And it's not pretty. No matter how attractive a person may actually be, it's not pretty.
Thinking, is this the life people want? Eating a burrito and not have to answer to anyone, not having to worry about picking up the kids, not having a partner messaging me like, bitch, where you at? Am I supposed to like this? I've been sitting with it, and I think the reality.
Do you like it though? I don't think you like it. I think this whole video is like a cry for help and a last ditch effort at like an online dating profile. All the other dating profiles haven't worked. Let's just try YouTube.
Reality is, I don't know. I don't think I ever considered my life without those things. So I never really stopped to think if I could be happy without them. You know, I feel like a soldier who was trained for combat.
Again, she's describing herself like a man. Something about modernity is pushing women into the age of the role of a lonely older man. Modernity is turning women into lonely old men. Like if you hear men sort of describe their life in that way, it's almost like, you know, and well, it makes sense. You know, shit happens to guys like that, you know? Suck it up, cupcake. Life gets hard. But to hear a woman talk as if she's an older man, it's like, holy crap, what do we do to the world? I think somebody broke the world.
I was prepared for all these struggles that came along with marriage, with having children. Now I feel like a combat soldier who has just been told that I've been relieved of duty before even starting the tour and that I'm never going to see combat. And I'm like, okay, well, what do I do now? It almost makes me feel like
she's like Jeremy Renner at the end of The Hurt Locker, when he's just like walking around the grocery store aimlessly, has no idea why he's even here, what he's supposed to be doing. She's like really becoming like a man on the downslope of his life.
Like I'm going to perpetually be living like I'm in my 20s while still actually aging. And I don't mean in the fun way. I mean, all the stability that is supposed to come with age, like making more money, having security. You know, right now, my grandmother is 72. She had a couple of episodes that left her practically immobile. Not too long ago, she fell and broke her leg, and the family came together.
You know, I'm having a weird problem with StreamYards right now. The YouTube chat is moving way faster than the StreamYards chat is moving. So I'm pulling up my phone. I see people talking about Joan Rambo. Why are you guys calling her Rambo? Oh my God. Why are you calling her Rambo? I'm trying to picture that movie. I mean, not the movie. What was the music? What was the music that they would play for Rambo? That really lonely music that they would play for him, The Long Walk Home or something like that. She really is Joan Rambo coming home from the war, though. This is incredible.
You know, all 10 of us, kids and grandkids, we rallied. We talked about all the steps we needed to take to make sure that she was healing properly and that she was properly assisted. And we were working in shifts and planning everything out. And the reality is, if I never have kids, this will not be happening for me. There will be no people coming to rally around me. No children and grandchildren saying, "Don't worry, Mom, we'll take care of you." I only have one close sibling, my little brother. He's 16 years younger than me.
Whoa, that's a huge gap.
So I don't know if I'm going to have nieces and nephews to help me either, depending on when he has kids. When or if. What if I'm not financially stable because I never found a career? Then I won't have money to put myself in a home or hire a nurse.
Telling you, she's doing life math right now. And nothing is so depressing and sobering as life math.
It's kind of scary, the idea of aging alone. And I think warrants a video in and of itself. But I have to take these steps now and be like, okay, I'm 70 years old and break my leg. Then what happens? How do I make sure I'm taken care of? Right.
You're cooked. We just leave you to the wolves. You're 70 years old. You break your leg. We just kick you out of the canoe. Let the killer whales have you.
Now I'm feeling more hopeful about the future, and that's a new feeling. The thought of maybe I can be happy if I never find love. Maybe I can be happy if I never have kids. Maybe all the skills I learned, how to be a good partner, how to be a good parent, maybe I can use them in other areas of my life. Maybe I can put them into my books because I like to write books.
Maybe you should adopt. Damn, you know what? Do they even give kids to single women? Yeah, they probably do. You could like adopt, or like you could become a foster mom. Said Doom and Goon. Doom and Goon. Oh no. But you know, you need to become like a foster mom or something. Get rid of the pets, maybe keep one cat and adopt some needy children. I'm not even joking. I'm saying that dead seriously. Like you have a stable life. Get a goddamn job first, get a real job, and then adopt a kid, and then come back in 6 months and see if it hasn't helped your mental health issues.
So maybe I can put them into those stories. And I'm just trying to figure out what to do with all this unused energy that I was putting towards those things. It's just a fact that I'll have to strategize for a future that I might have to go through alone. But I mean, in the end, I have to stay hopeful, because what else am I going to do? I don't necessarily know what happiness is going to look like for Brianna of the future, but I need to stay flexible. I was going to say, I don't need to have a rigid view of what a happy ending should be like. Yeah, Brianna, you don't need to have a rigid happy ending. I don't have the whole.
Has modernity created a wave of selfishness in women? Because when I say to adopt, I get that, you know, it's a very selfless type of act. And so you guys in the chat are pointing out that she's too selfish for adopting. And that may be true, right? If she wasn't selfish already, she may even have children already. Maybe that's a part of it that hasn't really gone examined. Like there's something in her nature. She doesn't want to give of herself in that way. And I wonder if that is if that's what's at play. So modernity is creating selfishness in women and weakness in men. Interesting.
Thing figured out, and that's okay. What happens next? I don't know. Stay tuned, definitely. If you're a regular here and you made it all the way to the end, you'll notice that this video is being recorded in the daytime. I don't know if all future videos are going to be recorded in the daytime, but I was just getting a strong call to record this video in the daytime, I guess, because it's been so long since I recorded a video. I just kind of wanted to be like, yeah, you know, scare you with my daytime face. If you like this video, let me know your thoughts. Do you have a future plan B, plan C, plan D? Let me know.
Plan C and D. Wow. So plans A and B have worked and we're on a C and D. I mean, plans A and B failed and we're on a C and D. Good
What's
luck to
going
you.
on with your romantic plans? Are things going as planned? Do you feel like you're on track towards your happy ending? Is it just me? Is it because I have the sense of humor of a 12-year-old boy that I think it's hilarious every time I say that? Probably.
You know, when Kevin Samuels was alive, she would have been the perfect candidate for a call-in. Her call-in to Kevin Samuels would have probably went viral. Would have been 1 million views, 20 different podcasts would have did commentary on it. This is why we needed a Kevin Samuels. Single and happily unsettled. Should we look in? Should we take a look? Now I'm curious. Single and unhappily.
What's up? Welcome to Bri the Woman. I am Bri. I've only ever seriously dated 2 guys.
Wow. So she's wearing makeup in this one. I noticed the other one, it was early morning. I guess it was too early. She didn't decide to wear makeup on that one. That was interesting. Makeup face. Okay, let's go makeup face.
In my medium long life, one was too hard. He's like a wannabe YN. I say wannabe because like he was really.
She dated a thug. Of course she did.
2 guys in my medium long life. One was too hard. He's like a wannabe YN. I say wannabe because like he was really just a bum. If you watch my videos, he's Lance. Blah to that guy, right? The other was too soft. He was 7 years younger than me. Good Lord. Would I say he was a mama's boy? If a guy goes from living with his mom to living with you and expecting you to do everything that his mom was doing, does that make him a mama's boy? I don't really think that's the true definition.
You had a live-in young nigga, huh? Now it's all starting to come together, y'all. It's all starting to come together. Hit that like button, like, share, and subscribe. I wasn't even going to do this part, but I realized when I pulled up that first video and then I took a look at her channel, I'm like, I think there's some explanations here. I think we might have to take a deeper dive. So we're going in for a deeper look, y'all. Like, share, and subscribe. Throw $1 in the hat. We're not done yet.
Give me the money. Give me the money for all that I would do. Give me the money.
I feel like after 5 years since my last relationship ended in April 2020, I feel like I'm due. I'm bound to get that guy that's like just right? I'm due. At least that's how it feels. Because like most romantic idiots, I've kind of been bought into this idea that eventually you'll meet the right person because...
God, I hate all these jump cuts though. Just something about a jump cut every 10 seconds makes it feel like you can't speak longer than 5 seconds at a time without drifting off into incoherent babble. But that's just me. And plus I understand editing, so I know a jump cut when I see it.
That's what Disney told me. Not just Disney. All of them places told me that eventually you meet the guy or the girl or whoever. Eventually it's going to happen for you. So as my life continued along its path and I started heading closer and closer to what our culture calls spinsterhood, I was like, wait a minute. I don't know if this train even has a destination. I just got on this train of life. Like this was the Hogwarts Express. And literally it takes me from fucking platform 9 3/4 to Hogwarts. It's like a bullet train. It only makes 2 stops. That's what I assumed. Single to non-single. I don't think that's the destination anymore. It's a very weird place to exist. And it's had me kind of restructuring some things like in my brain. I had a friend that is very young. She is 20 years old, not old enough to drink the champagne at her reception. And she just got married like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Ooh, damn. Watching them get out the game. Watching other women cash out of the dating game. It's a personal hell right there, isn't it?
Good for her. Kudos to her. But it's definitely got me looking at my own life. Like What's happening here? What's going on? I feel like a lot of people cry, oh my God, I'm so lonely and unhappy. I'm sure potential suitors are like banging on their door as they're like crying in their room alone. And they're over here like, leave me alone. Nobody loves me. I have in my notes, despite my loneliness, I would rather be alone than settle for some lukewarm porridge that tastes like shit. I feel like that's not fair because that's assuming that every potential suitor that I have.
What if you're the lukewarm porridge? I mean, it's a lot. It's all fun and games to say I'd rather be alone than to settle for lukewarm porridge. What if the lukewarm porridge is you, though?
Have not had interested in is a bowl of shit, and that's just not true. I would say a better example would be potential suitors have been like Indian food to me. Obviously, no offense if you're Indian, but I do not like Indian. I say that, and I have Indian food in my freezer right now. On average, I don't like Indian food. That's a bad example. It's literally in my fridge and I've been eating it for 4 days. But that's a different story. That is me settling. It was buy one, get one free, and one serving size lasts 2 days. And I was like, how can I not take Indian food up on its offer to feed me for 4 days? But it's not really what I wanted. Growing up, if you grew up.
And that's why you're struggling now, because you took the Indian deal and now you're lonely and you got a tummy ache, all right? That's because you took the Indian buy one, get one for free deal. Buyer beware.
In the West or in America, there's a lot of cultural programming around romance, isn't there? Every other Disney princess,
Oh, it's the programming, isn't it? Now we're back to the Disney programming. Interesting.
Every other Transformers movie, there's always a love interest, isn't there? Some of my favorite movies.
I noticed that about Hollywood. Even action movies where everybody dies at the end, they always manage to insert a romantic subplot. It could be a movie about soldiers at war. It could be superheroes, anything. There's always a romantic like subplot to almost every movie now. And I kind of don't like it. Sometimes can we just like fight and shoot each other and let it not be about the women?
Movies of all time, still to this day, are romance movies. Bridget Jones is about a frumpy, awkward, socially undesirable woman who gets the guy. Not only that, but he likes her just how she is. That's the dream, right? Somebody to like you just the way you are. Amélie, one of my favorite movies, is a French movie about a quirky, awkward girl who once again gets the guy and he becomes intrigued with her because she's quirky and awkward.
And you know that movie was just for you, right? You knew that movie where the quirky, awkward girl gets the hot, wealthy guy who just can't believe how much he loved this quirky, awkward weirdo. And you saw that movie and you were like, yes, that's what's going to happen to me. And now you're on YouTube making loneliness videos.
My third favorite romance movie would have to be Timer. It's about a woman who is past her prime, you know, she's in her 30s. Dear God, she's ancient. In this alternate universe, everything is the same, except there's a technology that you can implant into your arm and it shows you the exact time that you're going to meet your soulmate. But the trick is that the other person has to have it too. And you choose whether or not you want to get it. So you can have one. If your soulmate doesn't have one, it's just going to keep flashing blank. The main woman, hers is blank.
This is like sci-fi for lonely women. What kind of retarded script is that? Unbelievable. Stop letting girls write sci-fi.
Into your arm and it shows you the exact time that you're going to meet your soulmate. But the trick is that the other person has to have it too. And you choose whether or not you want to get it. So you can have one. If your soulmate doesn't have one, it's just going to keep flashing blank. The main woman, hers is blank, which means that her soulmate does not have a timer. Her sister has a timer, but her sister's in her early 20s, but it's telling her that she's not going to meet her soulmate until her late 40s. So as you can imagine, she's depressed. Is it better to know and know that it's forever away, or is it better to just not know in any moment now that person can get a timer and your life could change. What if this person gets a timer and you're going to meet them tomorrow? Anyway, I just say that to say those are some stories that really affected me. Even like when I started reading Hunger Games, I inhaled those books. These are books that are like totally about dismantling an evil government and how they use people and all these other wild themes, right? I was so pissed at the end of the story where, spoiler alert, Katniss and Peeta get married, but she's so distracted by her PTSD that she doesn't even really know if she like loves him or not. That was so annoying. Get over that shit, bitch. It's a man in there who loves you, okay? Ironically,
I don't think she understood that movie very well. She never really loved Peter. That was not, oh my God. Anyway, I'm not going to get into the whole catching fire thing. Maybe the book is slightly different from the movies. I remember in the movies, Peter was basically like the beta stand-in. They kept using him as a prop, essentially. She always wanted the guy from home. And then again, look, the guy from home saw her kissing Peter, was like, ew, slut. Like, no. I don't think she understood that movie well.
my favorite Disney princess was not a princess. Obviously, you know who I'm going to say. It was my homie Mulan. I loved her so much. I identified with her, the tomboy nature. I was such a tomboy. I liked that she created her story. A lot of the other.
Of course, your favorite Disney princess is the chick pretending to be a boy. It's like you're taking all the wrong lessons from movies.
Princesses, stuff just kind of happened to them. But I really liked that Mulan really took her journey into her own hands. And I thought her story with Shang Li was perfect. I liked that she wasn't looking for him. He wasn't looking for her. They came to respect each other.
Yeah, he fell in love with her while she was still portraying a boy. Is that your soulmate? Do you really want the guy who falls in love with the chick who's pretending to be a boy? There's something very, very strange about that. Mulan was the OG stud. Like, no, there's a lot of mixed messaging in these Disney movies. I'm telling you, Hollywood is one-shotting generation after generation.
After having to be around each other and learn each other and grow together, he's learning how to lead this ragtag group of soldiers into battle with this crazy, dangerous army. And she's trying to keep her father out of the war, which could potentially get her killed. I love it. They have bigger priorities than love. And by the end of the story, they're not in love. Shang has come to respect her, see her for the woman she is, see her for the strengths that she has. They don't get married. She just invites him over for dinner, and it's implied that this is the beginning. And I love that.
And now you're 34 and single. 2 videos later, you're complaining about how single you are. Can we not connect the dots here? You know, when I first started the stream, I kind of went off on a tangent about Hollywood, and we're going to wrap this up. I don't want to review this whole second video, but I kind of went off on a tangent about like Hollywood perverting our minds and creating false images for us to live up to. It's like chasing a dragon. You know, we'll never grab the dragon by the tail, but we'll constantly be chasing it. And this is what Hollywood has done. And I think mentally, again, like I said, go outside and touch grass is probably some of the best non-medicinal advice that you could ever take. It's probably better than most psychoactive drugs you're going to get, right? Touching grass is probably way more useful than Ritalin at this point. And maybe that's just really the best prescription you can give at this point for a lot of people. We are an epidemic of no grass touching motherfuckers. That's really what it is. Non-grass touching motherfuckers. We're all adults now, and we're running out of grass to touch. Yay, modernity. Well, I'm going to wrap this one up. I'm going to end this here because there's some other content I want to talk about. There's some other stuff going on I want to get to, but maybe we'll take a lunch break and come back to that later. So like, share, and subscribe, guys. Thank you guys for watching. I just want to talk for a while about women being losers, modern women in particular, because I think this is very much modernity affecting us all in individual, unique ways. And we had to take a look at modern women here. But like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Throw $1 in the hat on your way out. I will be back later with another discussion.
Aspiring to be patriarchs like what white men have, that isn't freedom. That isn't going to help anybody. It's certainly not going to help Black people.
It's done. It's done. It's done. It's done. It's done.